So I bet you're wondering who the heck I am and where I've been. If you do know who I am, you know I've been doing airbrush for a long, long time. If you don't know who I am, you subscribed to me a couple of years ago. And I used to do a whole bunch of airbrush t-shirts and all kinds of tutorials and all that stuff. It doesn't matter. Moving on. We're back under a new name called The Rabbit Hole. It's going to be directly on this channel. You should be getting a notification, but it doesn't matter. We've got a ton of artists that we want to introduce you to. The very first one is on our very first podcast, The Rabbit Cast, which is part of Spray Tees. If you remember Spray Tees, we were around a long time ago, or you forgot about us, it doesn't really matter. But the point is, this is The Rabbit Cast, and today is Gabriel. And he's one of my best friends. I've known him for a long time. We're going to be interviewing him. He's also one of the founders of The Rabbit Hole, and I figured what better way to do this than to do it on the very first episode. So, you haven't seen me in a long time. I'm still alive. We're going to be doing art and tutorials and all kinds of stuff on the channel. It'll just be under a new name. It'll be called Rabbit Cast. I hope you enjoy it. Here's Gabriel. Let's cue that intro.
Step one, get the day off, just breathe. No rush, no stress, just let yourself ease. Step two, don't think, just let it flow. Leave the weight behind and let it all go.
Okay. Yep, you're in it now.
Start?
Yeah, you want to start right now?
Mm-hmm.
Does it sound good? And you know, when you start right now, I'm probably even gonna leave this moment in right here when we start.
Yeah.
And that's it. Well, anyways, well, Gabe,
Introduction to the rabbit hole.
welcome to the Rabbit Hole. Yeah, we'll go into that in a second. But this is for those of you that are just now coming into this. This is the very first Rabbit Cast. And you're looking at the two co-founders of The Rabbit Hole.
Rabbit hole.
Yeah. And this is a companion to what we're doing. And
It's about 50 years of experience rolled into one.
yeah, exactly.
And pushing forward with this new to me, the podcasting, the
New to me too,
digital
dude.
media, the
Yeah.
AI, all this shit, which is new to me. And I thank you more than enough for it.
Yeah.
For the introduction to this, and I mean, hopefully a few million people out there.
Well, you never know. Like 5-6 years from now, somebody will pull this up and use it against us in court. This very first, the very first episode, and we'll both be sitting in court and being like, "Oh, look, the very first one that we put out."
I told you so.
Yeah. that MFer right there is that guy. Maybe what we should start with, Gabe, is we'll do a little bit of background on you, and then we'll do a little bit on me, and then why the Rabbit Hole, and then leading into why the Rabbit Cast.
Well, you being the one that's done this before, I want you to
Okay, I'll start.
And then we'll go from
I'm known as the Mad Hatter. You all on the Spray Tees channel from a long time ago knew me as just Brim. Brim is my nickname. It's not my real name. I'm not going to put my real name out here on the nets. But I've been airbrushing and doing mixed media art for a very long time. I stopped for about 10 years. And I just couldn't stand artists. It's not that I couldn't stand them. I have very little respect for the medium itself and for the people in the medium. And the problem with that is, so I when I was a kid and I first got started in this, I was like amazed. I was like, oh my gosh. But working in a career for about 20 years, being an artist, I got to see the worst. I worked in the worst industries you could ever work in: fashion, video games, but I found peace in technology when I found a lot of peace in my life when I started learning how to code. I think that translated into user interface. So I did a lot of GUI for a lot of applications. And then I helped launch some pretty large software companies. So I got involved on that end. And looking back at it, now I see a lot of people that are really good marketers that are moonlighting as artists. And then I see a lot of artists that are not marketers that are struggling. And I had to change my viewpoint, and I've changed it the last 4 or 5 months because I've seen a lot of people struggle that are genuinely good artists. And so I will never call myself a true artist. And the reason being is because I know how to paint and I know how to draw. I know how to do a little bit of graffiti. I know the understanding of it. I would think in my mind are a real artist. But for me, I would say I'm more of a hobbyist. I'm really good at design, but the reason why I can't say I'm an artist is because I truly, really haven't done anything for myself in many years. I've primarily done stuff for clients, maybe an illustrator, I would call myself. So that's pretty much my career. 20 years art, about 12 years technology, leading into this point, and then I went back into the scene. I mean, when you invited me down to the shop and started painting again, and I've made every mistake, and I suck, but I'm slowly climbing my way back up into the ladder of whoring myself.
Nice.
Once again, yeah. So that's who I
am. As for me, also, I think I've been in the industry maybe a little longer than you have, due to the fact that I've known what I wanted to do very early in age.
Yeah.
As far as the way I was put together and structured, a lot of it was either done in the street in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Eventually, I evolved into going to school. My teachers had a lot of love towards me and helped me get a couple of grants to go to Otis, to go to Art Center. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to sustain and maintain and go to these places because you know how fucking expensive it is.
Well, they're all out of business too. We can go into that later on, but like Mocha and Fit.
Yeah, very true. So I gotta say that my art form was a little bit refined. I was helped by a couple of teachers and instructors, but a lot of it's still very street oriented because that's where my love came from.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate that I've been able to feed my kids with this.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, if you consider me what did you say? You consider me an artist or a true artist? Which in all honesty, and I am sure you probably feel the same way. I've been a medium for other people to use because I've never really done my own stuff.
Oh, really?
That's of you, you know.
Yeah.
I've done my own stuff and I've sold my own stuff, but the stuff that has kept me fed and has my kids fed.
Not the stuff that you
not
really
the
want.
stuff that I wanted.
Yeah, you really
want
want to do. Yeah.
So I'm an artist, but I'm basically become somebody else's medium for them to maneuver and change, and that's probably the part where I kind of hate the most in this art industry. And now that I'm freaking 50, it's when I've decided, you know what, I'm gonna do it for myself.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm done doing it with everyone else. I'm done doing it for everyone else. I think it's time I do it for myself. And even then, I'm going to get clients.
Well, I mean, you're going to get, in my mind, and I may be incorrect in this, but you're going to be able to do things that you enjoy.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean. I can't really define what makes me happy art wise. I can tell you as a kid what it was. I can tell you when I first started graffiti, what that was. I was having fun. But that's
we were doing the Instagram thing before Instagram was even Instagram.
Yeah, we were doing that graffiti gram.
Yeah, the graffiti gram.
Yeah, we were posting.
Yeah.
But in real life.
Yeah.
IRL.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think money is important, and when you are get into being an art or professional illustration or whatever medium that you want to do and you want to make money, there are things that create paths that you are going in one direction that you really want to go, but then the clients, the demand or the market says otherwise. And so what happens is during this journey of expression and of doing something that you have passion and love for, somehow it forks you over to this area over here, and you either are a slave, you're a wage slave, or you are doing things, or you don't know how you got there, and you're doing things that make you miserable. You may make a lot of money temporarily, but it makes you miserable because it's not truly what you started. That's not where you were aiming. And so in my career, I got pulled into different directions. And then also because at that time, when I was doing the shops, we had employees, and I wasn't responsible for myself anymore. I was responsible for everybody else. When Friday comes, their paychecks are there. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't do things for me. I had to do things for the business and for the survival of everyone that worked with me.
And that's a horrible part that, and as a business, and you know this for a fact, a movie comes out, somebody wears a particular anything, and before you know it, you're doing 1,000 a particular anything. You know what I'm saying?
Spider-Man, SpongeBob.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, especially in the airbrush business.
Yeah, exactly.
We were SpongeBob professionals, or we were Dora the Explorer
for like a month or two, and then it would change immediately.
And if it was a big movie like Despicable Me, sometimes it's years, because you're also doing generational artwork.
Yeah.
So when we were airbrushing, at least I know from my experience on the beach. So in 2002, Shrek came out, and for like 2-3 months there, I was doing Shrek, and it was making me miserable. I was a Shrek pro. But then the following year, they did the Saturday morning cartoon or whatever it was, and then a second generation that loved Shrek would come in, and I'd still get the after effects of that. So yeah, when someone came to me and said, I want a Shrek that's a crackhead smoking a joint, I'm like, I'm your guy. I'm a pro.
Yeah, true.
So what brings us... why are we, what brings us here to doing the Rabbit Cast?
I think which is mentioned earlier, which is basically technology. I think has a lot to do with where we are now. Because back in the days, I could retain, and you could do this too. When you would airbrush your painting, you would retain an audience of about 20 to 30 people behind you.
Yep.
To where now I can be airbrushing and I can retain the same amount of people, but only for a minute or two.
Yep.
And then they walk away. So
are you saying the attention spans have shortened?
Yeah, completely. 30 seconds tops.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where we're at. And this upsets me how you can put in 4, 5, 8 hours into a piece, and you got to show it in 30 seconds so you can show people what it started like, what was the middle of the structure of it, and then the end of it. But they don't see the time frame and the work that gets put into stuff like this. But
very frustrating. And another thing is that before the internet was around, and it was just we were at a mall or we were at a location, people would genuinely watch us, and we would never get critiqued. They were always amazed. Maybe once a month you might have somebody that would critique you, but it was usually I'm Asperger's. Yeah, I think your art, and if you put more strippers into your artwork, and you're like, okay, cool, and you had to tolerate that person. But now, because of the internet, you're extremely critiqued.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
You just, you'll get a lot of likes. In the beginning, you'll get people that are like what I call true bloods, which are people that genuinely love what it is that you do. But then you get the guy that it's almost in a sense narcissistic, that they want to have they want to feel, they don't like the fact that you're getting the attention, number one. And I take criticism, like if I made a mistake on a painting or I did something and someone calls me on it, I enjoy that. Because number one, I'm going to say, oh, I know, I screwed up there. I was trying to hide it. And so I'll say that.
You got to remember, every good artist knows how to hide there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we're masters at it.
But somebody catches it, they win.
You win the consolation prize. It's not a thing. Some artists will be like, how dare you? For me, it's like, yeah. You know what it is. But then you open yourself up to mass amounts of criticism. So I guess when we did the Rabbit Cast, so what's up with the Rabbit Hole? Nobody knows about that. They're going to see this. So it's 2,500 subscribers. So we're doing the Rabbit Cast. They don't even know what this is. It's going to be the first one.
My apologies for not
Yeah.
introducing what the rabbit hole is.
What is the Rabbit Hole? How did you come up with the idea?
Okay, the rabbit hole was basically an idea put together. I've always loved the structure of Alice in Wonderland. The fact that it went from, the card game dudes to the, teacher cat to it didn't have, there was no bound. There was no, I don't even know how to put it together, but even the sceneries were completely changed from one minute to the other. Not let alone the new one, the new Alice in Wonderland that came out.
It was good. I liked it. Yeah,
I saw part of it. I didn't see the whole thing. But basically, it's being able to generate any kind of artwork. Because I don't know about yourself, but me personally, I can go from drawing a little miniature kitty, beautiful, cute, to this large cat, vicious skull. And I can go both ways, and I love to go both ways.
Yeah.
So it's basically that. It's being able to do something, and this I think happened due to the fact that the client base that I had at one point they were children, and then they were adults, and they were seniors, and it's funny how they all have a different views of what they want, even though they might be wanting the same thing. Little kid Mickey Mouse is cute and adorable. Teenage Mickey Mouse smoking weed, or an older Mickey Mouse is usually for the grandkids.
Yeah.
So the fact that I was able to maneuver like that with art, I think that's, well, not necessarily. I think the name The Rabbit Hole went perfectly with it. And no, don't get me wrong, I didn't come up with the name.
Yeah.
I asked ChatGPT to give me an idea.
I think that's excellent.
Give me an idea of a name that can go about, being adventurous, art, and it came up with about 30 different names, and The Rabbit Hole was one of them.
And that one stuck with you.
Well, not necessarily with me, but I asked around, and
Yeah.
for some reason, everybody kept pointing to the same name.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, definitely that's it. Because it did it for me when I first saw it. There was a few other ones there, but that has to be one of the first ones that popped out at me. And it did. I think it did for you too. When the name was out
Well,
there.
when you first told me, I was like, I was thinking, okay, so if he's going back to airbrushing and he's starting to do this again, or you can kind of get what you want. It had to simmer with me for a second because I was thinking from a branding standpoint. But then what struck me when you told me on the phone? I was thinking about Coca-Cola, and I was thinking about Pepsi back in the 1800s. So if you never knew what Coca-Cola was, and you had that old 20s style logo, Coca-Cola. Have you ever had you're in 1820s, have you ever had a cola before? Nobody knows what a cola is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the fact that cocaine was used in Coca-Cola, that was probably a great selling thing. But other than that, think about it. If I said, other than the cocaine part, remove the cocaine. If I said to you a black drink in ice, and I said, here, try some Coca-Cola. And now you're drinking coffee that's hot and tea that's hot, but you got a black drink with ice in it. Are you ready to drink that? You're gonna be like, what in the hell is that? Back in the day. So I started thinking to myself, the rabbit hole has meaning, number one, and I kind of like, I'm from the marketing side of things where everything should be 4 to 6 letters. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
But in essence, when you told me the rabbit hole, I was like, you know what? We do, in my mind, see, I've got to sell myself on it. So when you told me, I was like, huh. And the second thing was, of course, it's not Arthur C. Lewis. I forget who wrote Alice in Wonderland. It's C. Lewis. But I started thinking to myself, you know what? I like the fact that it's almost got that old 1800s, early 1900s vibe. And in my mind, I was picturing a really cool, if you ever watch Harry Potter?
Yes.
So, when they go into, it's like when you walk into this unknown thing and it has unique items in it that you've never seen before. You know what I'm saying? And there's books, maybe a couple books you've never seen before. It's like when you walk into a dusty old bookstore and you see a whole bunch of new, and you're like enamored looking at stuff. And I was thinking to myself, that's what that is. It's like, yes, it's got t-shirts. And yes, it's going to have graffiti-based things and hats and different things. But, I both know what we're going to make in that stuff. And it's going to be...
We're very much like yourself. And when you had spray, You used to airbrush on a bunch of different items, not necessarily shirts.
Snowboards, skateboards, yeah.
Lowriders, the lowrider bikes.
A door. I've had doors brought in, fairings from a motorcycle brought in, leather jackets.
There is nothing you cannot spray, put it that way.
Yeah.
I've sprayed on plastic, leather, glass. I mean, Jesus. Anything and everything. I think that's the reason why I kind of used the name The Rabbit Hole, because very much like we mentioned earlier, it seems like you can go into all these different worlds. You can go into biomechanical. You can go into fucking horror. I mean, you can
do anything you want.
Do anything you want.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like the kids book or anything else. I mean, it's very versatile. And in my mind, when you told me, I was like, from a customer aspect, a lot of times there are two types of customers. Customers that know what they want, or customers that don't know what they want.
Yeah.
The customers that know what they want usually come in when talking to an artist, and then they're like, I have to think about it, I don't know. I thought I knew what I wanted, and I didn't. And the customers that don't know what they want, we usually help guide them to what they want. They're easier to make decisions for because they're not used to it. Where when it's somebody that knows what they want, they're either very poignant and say, this is exactly what I want, or they're like, I thought I knew what I wanted. Now that I've looked at all this, I need to think about it some more. Yeah. But I thought The Rabbit Hole is a great name. And then, when I was, from a design standpoint, when I was working on the website and I was looking at fonts, I was like, I tried doing modern. I was like, man, this isn't sticking with modern. I said, we're going to have to take it old school, like really old school. And I started imagining what it looks like 40 years from now. And so then what I did was I looked at the old Pepsi and the old Coca-Cola, and you can see the evolution from it looked like a medical with the ornamental design back in the 1800s, and now where it's like super modern with the super modern design, and I just started thinking, I said, well, probably in the future it'll just be an image of some kind, rabbit's foot or whatever it might be. Yeah. But I like the old timey thing because it's fantasy.
It's fantasy, yeah.
There's a lot of art that goes into the old timey stuff, a lot of line work. But so that's what you did. You put the rabbit hole together.
I put the rabbit hole together, opened up a little shop, called you, and I asked you if you wanted to do anything with the project, and you tagged along immediately. You liked the process, and here we are.
Yep.
Doing something I've never done before.
Rabbitcast.
Rabbitcast.
Yeah. So I guess since we're both kind of new to podcasting, I used to work with other companies and set these up. I've never done it myself. I used to be the guy in the background that had like 5 or 6 monitors, and then we'd have screens that would cut through. So it was crazy stuff. I never in a million years thought I'd be like sitting right here doing this right now. It is what it is. Yeah. It doesn't matter. So we're doing it. So I think the big thing, I guess we'll start it off this way, is, so I guess if you want to call us artists or whatever, we're more like, what do they call it? Translators.
Okay.
Translator?
Translate.
Yeah. When a person that speaks a foreign language hires somebody to translate for them.
Right.
Yeah. So I always look at myself as a kind of translator for people. They have an idea in their hand. Yeah. And so I help translate that.
Yeah, I never saw it like that, but you're right.
Yeah, because when they come and talk to me...
I'm a medium, same thing.
A medium,
I'm just a medium for these people.
Yeah, and so people have these ideas, and, we discuss them, and then I flesh it out for them. And usually, if I'm doing a good job, sometimes I've done a real crappy job, but if I'm doing a really good job, I hit the nail right in the head, if not better. Right. Then the worst part happens after that. We got to make it. So it's one thing to discuss it. It's another thing to make that and to make sure that client or customer is going to be happy. So anyways, so here we are in now 2025. 2025. Yeah, we're in January. It's the 6th. Why do you think art matters right now?
So that's how long is this going to be?
We're doing it for 45 minutes. I mean, you can go as long as you want.
It matters. Shit. Art goes back to before Christ, my man.
Yeah.
Anything we've ever seen develop a chair, a fucking your keys,
everything.
anything has been drawn up at one point in time.
Yeah.
So how is it important? Is very important because without that you have no visual.
Yeah.
So that's.
Do you think art's kind of getting lost in translation?
Oh, definitely.
How?
You see these guys that do these fucking, what are they called? You had a name for them earlier. What was it?
Oh, I had a name for what?
For the new art form, the performing art, reactive art. That shit, whatever that might be.
You don't like reactive art?
Come on, dude, you don't like reactive art.
I fucking hate it. But the thing is,
you're not even going to talk shit about.
No. I think that getting a reaction is important, but congratulations, to disrupt somebody. Now, what are you going to enter? Now that you've got their attention, how are you really going to make them stick? How are you going to make it so they never forget about the experience? So congratulations. If I walk in front of a group of people and I go, "Hey, there's a bomb!"
And then you throw yourself onto the camera.
And then I stop and it's like,
you're the bomb.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the notification button. If I do that, it's like, it kills. And so the next person that says, "Hey, there's a bomb," and there really is a bomb, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, whatever." It's the same thing that happened last time. So the problem is you have all these people that are reactionary art. And so now when the average artist goes to actually show an impressive piece that's going to catch your attention, make you think, create a picture in mind, maybe even it calls back to a memory in your childhood or a memory in your life. When you look at the piece, it emboldens you, it strikes you, and it for a moment you look at it and you're in awe, and then you start to think, man, or you have that moment where you what if yourself, right? The other issue is because stagnation in other mediums is drying up. So, and we were talking about this video game streaming. Actually, me and my friend were talking about this last night, where the newer generation, they no longer want to buy a video game. They just want to watch somebody else play it.
Yeah, that throws me on.
So the problem solving isn't there because you have somebody else solving your problems for you. So you're not going to, your experience to watching a video game as in playing it are two different things. Just like watching art and actually doing art are two different things. So with reactionary, what's happened is because the other mediums in streaming are dying, they're starting to turn the art because they realize a lot of people are watching that. And so for them, they're mixing their hot button topics, those trigger moments, and they're trying to put that into art to capture the people, the viewers of that. And so they're not really showcasing art. You got a person with a mop dipping it into a bucket and they're hitting the canvas, and then what they do is they do a fast cut to actual art that either they purchased, they didn't do themselves, or they did do themselves and it took 18 hours to produce that piece. And even then, the 18-hour piece is like acting as an artist. It's not actually art, it's acting.
Acting as an artist. Yeah, I've seen that.
I mean, we see this all the time in LA. I mean, I want everybody for the podcast to understand, if you walked out into the street, if you walked out into Hollywood right now and said, "Who here is an artist?" You'd have, how many people do you think would raise their hands?
I'd say you could 30% of the people.
30% of people raise their hands and say, "I'm an artist," because they need the clout. They need the attention. It's attention.
This is what bothers me. You can raise your hand and see you're an artist and have no ability to paint. You have no ability. You have no color theory behind you. There's no ability to
fake it till you make it, though.
Yeah, fake it till you make it. But it all that always shows up on the canvas, on the panel, on whatever it is on the wall. You get to see that immediately.
Yes.
So the fact that it's a blur of paint compared to a structured landscape scenery, it'll show who deserves to get paid those $5,000-$10,000 compared to the guy that came in with a mop and fucking didn't really do much in there.
Or cut a stencil.
Or cut it, yeah.
Even
stencils I'm okay with.
It depends.
Because it takes a structured ability to even create a stencil.
True.
It's the guys that just, I don't know, dude. I've seen so much stuff out there it looks like performance art, and then they throw paint on shit while they scream their heads off.
Well, I watched a guy take his t-shirts. He lined like 20 or 30 t-shirts in a row, and then he put bleach on his car tire and then drove the car tire.
I saw
across.
that. Yeah. I
Yeah,
saw that.
which I thought from a design perspective was cool, but and I guess to differentiate, I guess I can't call what he did art. It's just really smart marketing. If you're doing a 4-wheel drive shirt, I don't know. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, as far as that aspect of it, yeah, I'd see it smart marketing, especially if they do it with that particular truck, Jeep, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Then I see it. Now you have a sustainable piece of garment or shirt or sweater or whatever it is that came from that investment that you did or you want to do or whatever.
Yeah.
But when it comes, but see that there's he ruined quite a few shirts before he came up with that aspect.
Yeah.
So there was thought behind it. It's what bothers me when there's no thought behind it.
And then everybody's running over shirts
Exactly.
in their driveways.
Right. So that's what I'm like. What?
All of a sudden, you're driving in Highland and you're going over the hill where that guy's always got. Well, you don't drive that way. I come in the back way, and there's a guy that has his house, and he lines up all these T-shirts on the side wall, and he's got like vintage Nirvana shirts and stuff like that. But one day you'll see like the bleach, the 15 shirts all laying out there with the car running. Or anyways, I'm tanting. So, do you think? And this is one of the things I was going to ask you, and I found it was pretty interesting. So when I was doing a little research on reactionary art, do you think that COVID-19, when it happened, do you think that because people were so isolated that there is maybe with a lot of these people that are faking it till they're making it, they were alone or by themselves for such a long time that there may be like a mental connection to all this?
No, definitely, dude. I mean, look at how many relationships were ruined because
you
had the husband and the wife together all day.
They'd never seen each other before. They never saw each other.
So I mean, and I'm sure it affected you as it did to me.
I was by myself.
You had time in your hands.
Yeah.
And I think I developed to become a better artist during that time.
Yeah.
But I was already structured a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
It's those people that had nothing to do that decided to become artists during that.
That's a healthy thing because art can be therapy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But don't give me that, splattered canvas with a mop.
Well, I think that those people are desperate for clicks, and I think what's happening.
No, don't get me wrong. Some of it, I think, is very ingenious. Like even the guys that spin the paint when they throw all that shit in
Do you
there.
think that's art?
It's not art, but it's cute.
Yeah,
it's nice. I can hang something like that. I can give that to my daughter.
Yeah, she would love it.
You know what I would love to do? Give her the ability to her to do it herself.
Yeah,
because it doesn't require an artist.
Yeah,
some kind of game box. Here you go, sweetheart. These are all your favorite colors. Create a painting for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as coloring and art and selling it for anything over than $100, you got to be out of your mind.
So let me ask you this. So now that we've talked about that, we talked about that. From COVID, these things kind of evolved into kind of like new areas for people. We talked about reactionary art. So now what I want to say is, so now that we're all here and you have these people that are doing these things and they're kind of faking it until they make it. What about the AI artists? Do you think that people that prompt art in artificial intelligence, do you think that they're artists?
I'm gonna give you two different answers. One, the first one that I got when I initially met AI for the first time,
mm-hmm.
I was immediately when I first came in, I was like, "Damn, I'm assed out. I just lost my job." Right? That's what I thought immediately. Yeah. Because of the concept on how fast it created these images in high resolution, high detailed images.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's when it came out.
You're fine. I'm looking at the time. Yeah, you're good.
It's when you prompt AI to do a particular thing, and it gave you that extra finger, that extra toe, that extra ear.
We call it Uncanny Valley.
Uncanny Valley.
Yes.
Why is that?
So there was a movie in the '60s called Valley of the Dolls, and it was I think either it was an art house style movie, or it was directors that were so wealthy and disconnected with the world, they had made this film where what women should be from the outlook of a billionaire or a millionaire. and they were these little pretty things, and so the movie went off the rails. Each one of the models started killing each other, and it was it's what we would call an uncanny valley. In other words, you ever seen movies where the CG is bad?
Yeah, although in 1980.
Well, the 1985,
90.
but even like people okay, think about this. Like you have Jurassic Park, right, which the CG was done excellent, and then you had like Jurassic Park, where the CG looked like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Right.
And so they're trying to do a real dinosaur, but because they don't understand animation or they didn't render it right, it looks corny, and so it looks uncanny. So with AI, when you have this perfect human. You have perfect beauty, perfect hair, and then she's sitting there holding a glass of wine, and there's 6 fingers. You're like, whoa! What the heck? She's here to eat our souls. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe there's 3 teeth on the front, not 2. You know, so there's a third tooth in the center. You know what I'm saying? Like she's smiling, she's perfect, but she's got a third tooth. You know, what's up with that? Or maybe there's a nostril here, and a vagina right here instead of her nose. You know, or something to that effect. But the point is, it's uncanny. It doesn't look right. It's like if an alien came down to Earth.
Well, don't get me wrong. Some of the new stuff is too perfect. Way too perfect.
Way too perfect.
The newer stuff now.
But
I'm talking about in the beginning stages of it.
What do you think of AI? Do you think it's great for an artist? What do you think? You think
now?
Hold on, one second. I've got to make a cut. One moment. This is ridiculous, dude. Sorry. Can't. Where? I don't know what's going on.
What's your phone name?
My phone's being recorded right now. Yeah, I think it's Facebook. Let me check here. One moment. My God. Okay, I'll cut that out. All right, so there we go. Now I'm gonna have to cut it in 3 different segments. That's gonna be extremely fun. Anyways, so what do you think? Let me go back to my notes here. So sorry. Okay, so what do you think? What do you think regarding AI? Is there an advantage being an artist, or do you think it's here to take our jobs?
Well, maybe a little both, to be honest with you. Either you learn to use it and make it part of a medium which you're going to have to inherit now that we're here.
Yeah.
Or go find yourself another job. Pretty much.
I hope so. I hope all the artists out there that hate AI need to go find other jobs, because I need more work right now.
Yeah, pretty much. That'll be, and there is actually, I did a bit of research, and there's going to be an increment in artists, so we're okay.
Yeah.
Not now.
I don't believe in any of that. I think that, you know, for those of you out there that are listening to the podcast, I think that Luddites are for real. So when automation came and, you know, car factories, you know, there was horse and carriage for many, many years and horses. And then along comes the steam engine.
Right.
And then, evolution. Yeah, evolution. And so people, if you were in the horse and carriage business for a long time, your business is about to go away. You might be able to move out west and you know, while the new cars are coming in, but in 10, 15 years, it's going to get all replaced with vehicles, because people want convenience and they want to go places, you know, instead of having a guy come in a horse and carriage to take you somewhere like an old school Uber. But there was these folks out there called the Luddites, and so what they did is they didn't want that technology, and a lot of it was backed by the horse and carriage industry. And what they would do is they'd go into like the automation factories and they would sabotage them. And so they were known as the Luddites. Burn the factories down. So, you know, I think that AI is excellent because for a long time everything was digital. If you have a traditional background, if you've just been in digital, you are probably not going to have a job. But if you have a traditional background and you've been painting traditionally and you understand those things, then you're going to have a great living from it, because now what's happened is you have all these people that have never been able to draw before that wish they could, but they have, you know, where you've focused your life specifically in art or illustration. These people focus their lives as being a bean counter or a doctor or a lawyer. But they've always been passionate somehow about art. And those are the people that buy it from us. Now they're able to use a Da Vinci or a Leonardo or a ChatGPT and prompt until they find something that, works for them, where it has meaning for them. And I think as an artist, a traditional artist, it's going to be a boomtown for all of us because people are going to want that painted in real life.
Yeah.
You know, or to give you like, you know, even as artists, we put mood boards together and put things together and comp something and say, okay, I like this. Or when we do a client study, we got to put it all together before actually executing on the artwork and speccing it out. I think on that, it's going to get a lot easier for traditional art. I think there's going to be a big boom or demand for traditional art. Actual people painting.
Yeah, I use it now.
Yeah.
I didn't before. I use it now due to the fact that very much like yourself, when a client comes and needs something, I usually do 20, 30 mock-ups. I don't have to do it anymore. I can
Just do one.
I could just do one. No, I could just prompt it and it'll give me 10, 20 mock-ups.
Yeah.
And then show those. But the beautiful thing about you and me is once the client says that's what I want, guess what? I can paint it on anything you want.
Yeah, that's right.
And not a lot of people can do that.
No.
So that's where I think where a true artist actually comes in.
Yeah.
Is when they show you, oh, look at what AI did. Okay, can you paint that? Because I know I can.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I'm at.
And the ability to, so a lot of times when people are prompting art and they're saying they want it on a canvas, a lot of times when you're putting something on canvas, there comes a lot of planning that's involved. Even when you're sketching it, someone hands you a picture and say, I want this picture on canvas, but the canvas may be a different size. So you may have to alter the image a little bit. And AI is kind of like what I call art lottery. In other words, if you get the prompts right, then you might get one winner in there, one scratcher that you really like the mood of it and everything. But getting the AI to do it the same way again,
you want it, yeah.
It's a one and done shot.
Not just that, and I'm sorry to interrupt
fine.
you, but let's say you did come up where you prompted exactly what you wanted, and you took it to a printer and actually did it exactly how you printed how you saw it. The life of that, how long you think is going to be? It's printed by a machine, even though it's UV coated or whatever.
Yeah.
What's the life on that? 3 years?
3 years.
5 tops?
It's stuck to fade.
Starts to fade.
Yeah.
Now let's do that with an oil painting and see how long it takes for it to fade.
It won't.
It'll take over 100 and some years.
Yeah.
So see, that's where I think we win. Me and
Oh,
you.
big time. Yeah.
You know, but unlike the people that prompt stuff.
Well, you know, this is also a problem. There's a lot of people that think that they're what I would call artists that grew up in a Photoshop world where they were using the Wacom and they were using the digital stuff and never focusing on the traditional side of the medium, where now they're going to struggle because AI is going to replace that. It's just going to draw you out of a box. And I get that, you know, but I went to school, I went to MoCA in Finland. Yeah, you went to, and the teachers were very smart and they educated a lot of students on traditional medium, but these are schools that sold a false bill of goods. They told you you're going to have a career. They told you you're going to have all these things, and now you got a lot of artists that are blaming a machine when the machines have been around. I mean, Photoshop, what happened to the sign makers before Photoshop? Before Photoshop was even around, what were they using? We were having to do this stuff manually. Yeah, well, not just that. We had the airbrush. So if the woman had stretch marks, which for all you models out there, and you know this, when we shoot you and you're in a photograph, you know, when your day is done and you go back to your boyfriends or you go back to your life, we're stuck in Lightroom airbrushing your mole, we're airbrushing your stretch marks, we're airbrushing your varicose veins or your rash or your pimples, and we're stuck doing that. Where now we have AI that'll do it, but we don't want it to look like a filter.
Yeah.
So we have to do it manually. So there's still, I think, there's a renaissance with AI, and I think the renaissance is this, for the artists that are out there listening to this probably hate this conversation right now, but I think the renaissance is this. And what I've been learning recently is having your own private AI models that you train it on your artwork, and it's your own private AI. And so I'm using Comfy and I'm using Stable Diffusion, and I have just my artwork in it. So when I need new ideas and I run it through what are called LoRa training models, then it will pump things out the way Brimley Owl does it. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's the future for artists. It's private AIs, where a lot of these large companies are going to be like, hey, train our models. You know, you train your own models, you keep your own models, and that's what's going to keep you in business. You know, instead of mass producing.
I'm learning this.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna see that for me. So I think that's one advantage when people try to prompt something the way I prompt something and they don't get the same result. What am I doing differently? Do you see what I'm saying? So why is it the AI is not working for me, but this guy can like make awesome art coming from it?
Mm.
Well, it's because it's trained all on my artwork over the years, 30 years of artwork. I didn't pump all the models. I didn't put all my artwork in all the models. My artwork, the majority of my artwork has been offline for many years. I've just cataloged it because I don't want it on the net.
Right.
So I made that into a model, and now when I need
That's
something,
what
they're
I'm
like,
doing right
"Holy
now."
crap!" You know, they're
That's
like,
what I'm doing right now.
"How did you get the AI to do that?" And I was like, "Well, I have a private AI. You know, Stable Diffusion 3.5. I use Flux. There's a million different ways that you guys can do this. I encourage everyone for you to go to Hugging Face and go check that out. So I'm not anti-AI, which is a big. Yeah, I think and we've proven this out already over at the studio, is that, you know, we've had customers where we literally didn't have time to produce artwork, and we used AI to get them an idea and get them honed in before we actually did the shirts.
Yeah, it worked great. Yeah,
Saved hours.
It saved hours of work.
Hours of work. And then we'll project it on a hoodie, we'll project it on whatever we got to do, sketch it out. It may not be to the point, and we always explain it to the clients, hey, it's not going to look 100% because AI has a bad problem with overdoing it.
Well, I get it to 90%.
There you go. You get it. I get it to like 50%. I don't like that.
You're right.
Yeah.
Stop.
Okay, so where are we at? We're at 45 minutes. Let's go.
Time flew by.
Yeah. I'm telling you, this is some cool stuff. So, before we close this out, give me a personal insight on your first experience with art. What was a piece, maybe an art piece or an artist or a piece of art that you did that had a profound impact on you?
I gotta say, it was what made me. I must have been 15 when I first got my first. When I first grabbed an airbrush, I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
Practicing in the behind my house. It was in my house, in an apartment building where there was multiple people that lived there. Some man passed by and saw me airbrushing this jacket. It was my jacket. But keep in mind, I had been painting before that. Airbrush just became an additional medium to what I had been using before. And he saw me airbrushing this jacket, and immediately said, "Oh, dude, like you did that?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "How much you could charge me to do my jacket?" I said, "I don't know. Like, well, let me go get it," without asking the price. Without, I didn't know what to charge. I had no idea. He comes back, and gives me. It was like a polo shirt. I remember, long sleeve polo shirt. And I went ahead and I did this like girl in a bikini beach scenery. I just did it for the love of it. Back then it was just for the love of the art of me first grabbing this airbrush. But when the man handed me $30 for that, and keep in mind I'm only 14, 15, and at this time my mom was minimum wage back then. I think she was making like $7 an hour. So I did this in 2 hours, and I did, 3 times as much as my mom did, and I was just hanging out having fun. Wow. That's when I noticed. I was like, "Oh, dude, this makes money."
Yeah, you got excited.
Yeah, I got excited, and since then, I used to airbrush in the bathroom of my house, my apartment building. It wasn't even a house.
That was your studio.
That was my studio.
Bathroom studio.
Because I used to sit on the toilet, airbrush, and then the water faucet was here.
You could spray it out right in the sink. Oh, it's smart. That's really smart.
That's where I was, and it's funny because I had my bathroom was aligned to my shop. And I'd had 2 or 3 people just come in and place their orders.
Damn, bathroom studio.
Bathroom studios.
That's
dude.
Cool.
And my mom wouldn't say shit because I'd help her with money. Here you go, Mom.
Yeah. She loved that. She's like happy.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy.
Well, I was not running around. That's what she liked. The fact I was at home, painting. So I think that's what pretty much changed.
The ability to be able to make a living.
Yeah.
And do something you love to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's profound. Yeah, big time. For me, it was, I'll be straight up honest. So I was like, drawing and my parents were like really, really religious. So I was in the back of this van and I was drawing in it. We had this lady, her name was Juanita Taylor. And she was a very successful real estate agent. And she came to me and I just remember I was just sketching on a notepad and I was drawing some really violent shit, but I'm just drawing it there because I like horror and stuff like that. And she said, "Hey, I want you to draw me an ad, and I want you to put it on my real estate company." and I want a genie's lamp with smoke coming out of it. And I flipped out. She paid me $50. And I was like, oh my God. And so I turned it in. She had me make a couple changes. I was 15 years old. And so I made those changes and she loved it. And she put it on her, I don't know, all of her marketing. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And my dad, he's a very negative individual. You're not gonna make a living doing that. I don't want you to think that you can make a living doing that. You know, artists struggle, bro. And I was like, Dad, you're a musician. Yeah, but I also do carpentry. So don't.
You should have listened to him.
I should. You know what? I should have listened to him. I absolutely did. I did for a while. I got involved in technology.
Artists do struggle.
But you know, when I got involved in
but we love to do what we do.
Yeah, I just got excited in the fact that somebody liked the shit that I was doing. And somebody took the time out of their day to give me $50, and I got to put something that I liked. Because with my family, it was never what I liked; it was what they liked, 24/7. So, you know, getting out of that, it was like I lived in this island, this lonely island by myself, drawing my characters and stuff like that, and it was always like, you know, you're wasting your time. This is demonic. You know, always this. It's just like hammering a nail is every freaking time. So, no, it's okay. But when I did that, I realized, well, you know, I could potentially make a living doing it. I think where the art paid off and it had a profound impact on me was that moment. But I think the second moment is when I got involved in technology and I started coding and I started being a part of these large companies. And, you know, whenever I create a marketing campaign or when I'm working on an application and I'm overseeing everything, it's like painting a painting. Because now I know where all the pieces fit and I understand the user experience because those same customers are coming to my shop, or it'd be a client that I was doing artwork for. My job was, they had enough interest to come in and ask me for that. Now I have to deliver the experience. And so the same thing, it was kind of an aha moment for me when I'm working on, one of the Linux platforms that I helped launch, or a couple of the other things that I helped launch. And I was like, this is really cool. This is something new to me. And if I didn't have that experience as an artist or an illustrator or whatever I was, a whore, I wouldn't be able to attribute that to doing the things that I do now. You know what I'm saying? So where I still do art, when I go in from the technology side, I understand the user side of things, I understand the client side of things, and I understand the creation side of things. You know? And so that's where I had that aha moment, like, wow, so it did contribute. And if I wouldn't have been in that field, I would never be the person that I am today of, you know, being able to kind of put these things together and understanding how that goes, including what we're doing right now with the RabbitCast. Mm-hmm. So, where are we at? We're 57 minutes. Let's go 3 more minutes. Anything you want to add before we cut this off?
No, we're good for right now.
We're good. Mm-hmm. So, RabbitCast, guys. Me and Gabriel will be hosting the show. We'll have guests on in the future, and we'll be going over other topics. We'll be reviewing artwork. My goal with the RabbitCast in the future is to either. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I think it's a OLED screen, and we'll either present a piece of artwork. So if there's art that we like from maybe some of the artists that end up watching this, or if there's something that we want to promote, in the center here will be a screen, and it will have that either piece of art so that we can discuss it. Okay. And then if we have a guest, when the guest is here, we'll have their art presented next to them. Cool. And that's it for the RabbitCast. We're brand new, so this is episode 1. If you like what you see, tell your friends about it. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Go to the Rabbit Hole. Check it out. It's pretty cool. I think you're going to like what y'all see. Eventually, right now, the only artists on the Rabbit Hole are myself and Gabe. But in the future, we'll have more. And whenever you're getting something made, like a skateboard or fashion, you can get the artist to collab. So if you want Gabriel and another artist to collab on the product, they can do that. You just assign them in the product, and then they'll make that. It's pretty neat what we're doing. I think it's going to be
new. It's different.
It's different. Yeah, I think it's going to be cool. But that's it. And Gabriel, thank you for being our first guest. Yeah, absolutely. And me being the first guest, you being the first guest. Yeah, and very first episode. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks.
Step 1, get the day off, just breathe. No rush, no stress, just let yourself ease. Step just let it flow. Leave the weight behind and let it all